Happy New Year's, everybody. I hope you had a really great start to the year and a great New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. There are, as always, a lot of movies that I am super excited for coming out this year. But you know what? Last year we had a bunch that I was excited for and then ended up being a little disappointing, like conceptually. But this year, I have a lot on my list that I think they're just gonna be good. I'm really excited for this year because there's not like too many movies coming out, so I can actually like maybe not be behind as I felt like I was for like the whole last year, but just be able to go and watch and enjoy them. And I think that I think this is just going to be a really fun year. So let's get started on my top 10. So as always, we start with some honorable mentions. First up, The Marvels, which is my least anticipated movie from Marvel for this year, but compared to the other two, that's not saying too much about The Marvels. I'm just really excited for it still because of what it probably is going to lead into the MCU with, and just to have both Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel from both the big and the small screen come together. Dungeons & Dragons, which after watching the trailer a few more times, I think that if they're not going to go the serious Game of Thrones route of Dungeons & Dragons and fantasy and high fantasy, I think that this is going to be a really fun and funny adventure movie. Beau is Afraid, which I have no idea what it's about except for the fact that it is a horror comedy directed by Ari Aster and starring Joaquin Phoenix, so that is, of course, enough to make at least my honorable mentions. Killers of the Flower Moon, which is directed by Martin Scorsese and stars Leo DiCaprio, and while I'm usually a hit or miss on Martin Scorsese, this looks like it's going to be very tense, very fun, and of course stars Leo, so I am all in. Scream 6, which I am a little leery about because I think Scream 5 did a really great job at blending the meta with the still taking itself seriously, and I don't know how they could top it, but it is still Scream 6, it is still the Scream franchise, and I'm excited for it. At number 10, Oppenheimer. I'm a little surprised this doesn't go higher on my list, but I think it's just because with Christopher Nolan, the last couple movies he's done, usually I'm there for Christopher Nolan for the big concepts and really intriguing concepts that I have no idea how it's going to go, like Inception or Interstellar even, or The Prestige. But, it's still Christopher Nolan, and if I'm going to go see this one, it's because of the visuals and the fact that he used practical effects for these gigantic explosions. And of course, it's going to have Cillian Murphy and like thousands of other actors, so I think this is going to be a really interesting movie to watch. I have no idea how it's actually going to go. With Christopher Nolan the last couple times, I've thought, maybe it's gotten a little drier, so I'm hoping that this one can be a little bit more interesting, but I am still very excited for it, if for nothing else for the visuals and the fact that Nolan is directing it. Number 9, Knock at the Cabin. Gonna be honest with you, I'm a little shocked that it's made my list, but I'm just too intrigued. It's M. Night Shyamalan, so the fact that this is making my top 10 is a little interesting, but it's Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint maybe saving the world by killing people. It's just too interesting to not, and there's probably other movies that are going to come out later in the year that I would have been like, oh, this would have probably topped it, on the list if I had known about it, earlier on, but for now, this is one that I'm actually, the more I watch the trailers, I'm more excited about, because you just have absolutely no idea where it's going to go. And yeah, it could suck.
What? No!
But it could also be really good. He definitely is a hit or miss, and some of his movies are genuinely good. Number 8, Asteroid City. I don't know almost anything about this, but from the little description that I read, it does seem like it might be sort of Don't Look Up-ish, and if it is, I'm all in for that, because you know how much I loved that movie. Plus the fact that it's Wes Anderson, so it's gonna look amazing. Even if the story's like okay, it just the tone. Any Wes Anderson movie that comes out, I'm gonna go see it just for the experience of how he makes a film and how he shoots it and the actors and everything. And of course, it's gonna have like 7,000 people in it, but I'm really excited just for the concept and for the fact that it's just another Wes Anderson movie. Number 7, Elemental. I have always loved the concept of like real life elements, fire, earth, water, air, and their uses in all of these different movies and stories and everything, and just how people do them differently. And Pixar always takes these like inanimate objects or these just intangible ideas of things and makes them so interesting. And the little details that they put into how they would interact in a world with each other, they're so good at that. So I'm really excited. We've only gotten this teaser trailer, but I think it's going to be really cool to see what they do with this, given that it's not really like people. It's more so, again, just like inanimate things that they're putting personalities into. They're just so good at it. I think it's going to be really cool, visually and story-wise. Number 6, Dune Part 2. This was one of the absolute coolest movie theater experiences I had in 2021. I mean, in a while actually before that, because it was just enveloping. You got to go see Dune in IMAX, and then go see Dune Part 2 in IMAX. I haven't even seen it yet, obviously, and I have no idea what to expect, but I think it's going to be, scope-wise, insane. Story-wise, I don't know. I know that parts of Dune, like Part 1, for me at least, were a little bit dry, but it was still cool just seeing this world. It just felt different, and I'm excited to go back into that again, go back into the huge screen, and just how it seems to just like go past the edges of the screen. I'm really excited for this one because I think it's going to get even more interesting in the plot. And I'm just excited to see Florence Pugh as well just come into this Dune world. I'm excited to see Florence Pugh come into any world, but you know. Number 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So yeah, this is a little bit lower considering it's a Marvel, and it's a pretty huge Marvel, but it's because I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't know, it looks like another, I don't want to say CGI mess, but like one of those, it's like, can we have a kind of grounded one? Then again, we're getting into Kang, and we've come out of Phase 4 where it got really insane. So, you know, it's going to be kind of like that, but maybe it'll surprise me, you know? Going in with lower expectations, it'll probably be better because it'll surprise me. But really why it's higher on my list anyway is mostly just because of Kang being the main villain. And it's cool because we never really saw Thanos as a main villain until Infinity War. So the fact that Kang's going to be in this, you know, as the main villain, and he's going to be the villain of this new arc, is just pretty cool. And I think it's just going to be really like forward momentum for the MCU going towards these, you know, these next 2 Avenger movies rather than a couple of standalones we've had so far. Number 4, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I still have to read it, but I am so excited because I will finally get to talk about Hunger Games on this channel and have a reason to. You know, it is definitely on my fandom top 10 list, as you've seen in that one video before. But I'm really excited just to be able to go back to that world. I mean, it sounds weird, again, considering it's about people killing each other. But, like, just the world in general, the dystopia, it's going to be really cool to go back to that and just hear that whistle again. I don't know. It's going to be really cool because when those movies came out, you know, it's going to take me back to when I was in high school, basically, because they came out one year after the other every year that I was in high school. So I think it's going to be really cool, and I'm just excited to see what they do with it now, having been, like, what, 8 years later? Number 3, Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Into the Spider-Verse blew me away. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, and I don't think almost anyone did, except for people who maybe read the comics and went, no, this looks accurate, and this is going to be really good. So I am, of course, excited. It was sad that it was delayed last year because I think this was on my top 10 of last year as well. But then we finally got the trailer. We know a little bit more about it, and it looks great again. It looks insane. It looks even more explosive than the last one, which is saying something. And of course, we get, I think it's Spider-Man 2099, played by Oscar Isaac, and I'm just excited to see what other versions of Spider-Man come into this as well, because I think it's going to be a ton of them, and I think visually it's just going to be so cool. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know, we've had the Guardians in a couple of, like, cameo movies or just, you know, involved with Infinity War and Endgame in the last couple, so it's going to be nice to have a whole movie with just them again. And of course, this is going to be the last one, so I think it's definitely, especially from the trailer, going to be incredibly fun, but the most emotional, the most dramatic, the most serious as well, which is saying something, considering the other 2, we always think they're fun, and that's all they are, but they had some really deep moments to them, which is why I think everybody really took to them and loved them almost more than the Avengers, some people, because they're just a fun group, but they also have so much heart. And I'm really excited for this one because we have just about all of them back together, except for Gamora, but we have, like, fake Gamora. And I don't know, I think it's just going to be a really good time and a really good round out for the Guardians because, you know, except for the Guardians holiday special, this is, I think, the last thing that they're going to be in. Well, at least it's the last thing Dave Bautista is going to be in terms of Marvel, so we'll see. And number 1, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's a title. That's a title. Indiana Jones being my number 1, a lot of people are going to be like, really? But here's the thing, is I love Indiana Jones. And I get to watch a new one and then review it on my channel. I never thought that was going to happen again. And when the last one came out, I was 11. No, I was 10. I never thought we were going to get this again. Obviously, we get Harrison Ford as Han Solo and a bunch of other things, which is really cool. Now he's going to be in the MCU. But I never thought we'd get him as Indiana Jones again. And you know what? Yes, he looks old. whatever. Actually, the trailer made it look like he was perfectly fine with most of it. He looks good in the role still. He doesn't look like he's about to fall over or anything. And the movie itself does look actually pretty good. So, whatever. And yes, Steven Spielberg's not directing it, so I'm very sad about that. But James Mangold is a great director. And I think, I mean, it looks like Steven Spielberg directed it. If I had seen that trailer without knowing, I would have thought this was Spielberg. So I genuinely think this is going to be really good. But I'm just most excited for it because I get to be excited about Indiana Jones this year with a new one coming out. I just didn't think that was going to happen. And now I get to again, which is just super awesome. I'm very excited for that. Well, guys, those are my top 10 movies that I'm excited for this year with some honorable mentions. Of course, there's a ton of others that are coming out. I mean, you know, when I go to see Oppenheimer, of course I'm going to go right from Oppenheimer into Barbie. That's just a given. But there are a couple others that are honorable mentions in my heart that I'm definitely doing reviews on, but I'm going to keep two of those secret because they kind of have a theme and they're coming out about the same time very soon. So I'm going to be watching those and then reviewing those, and it's going to be very hilarious. Well, let me know what you guys are really excited for this year. Let me know if your top 10 or close to my top 10. And yeah, let's do this. It's going to be an awesome year. I'm really excited for it. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.